Okay, so today's course was Potomac Shores in Dumfries, Virginia. It was about maybe 5 miles east of Route 1, maybe about a mile away from the Potomac in and of itself. And for the most part, a standard neighborhood woods course, though this course is a little bit more of a challenge than most. It certainly has some verticality that you won't see in most wood courses, but you will see it in some woods courses. You will see the tabletop greens, the elevated greens, the elevated tee boxes, the lower greens, that kind of thing on some courses in the area. But it didn't have these goofy, wide open, fairway shots off the tee that everything comes to a point at the green. It wasn't that kind of thing, like where some of the holes were just giant farmland that had been converted into a golf course. This was a fairly straightforward lane type woods course, but not too tight, not too loose, but not too tight, with rough on both sides of the fairways, extending about 25 yards, and then also usually waste before the woods, but either waste coming out into the rough or waste along the edge of the woods. And the woods were thick and not really hospitable for people going in looking for their balls. And the waste was certainly thick and certainly not the kind of waste you're going to really find your balls in with high regularity. I would not challenge the waste or woods on this course. Let's leave it at that. But as you can see from the pictures, it's certainly a wide enough course to play for the average player. What I would definitely keep in mind is that if you play the course, you see the fairway. In general, I would hit to that fairway or hit somewhere where I could see. There are some blind shots on the course. A few, not many. Some uphills, some downhills. And there are some places where you need to be careful about waste in the corners on the dog legs or trees near or fronting the green on your approaches, but not often, not a lot. Most of the course is a fairly straightforward course. Carries not that long, but some carries. Nothing really bad in terms of a shot off the tee or even approach shots. So it's somewhat benign, but still not easy, not a pushover. A good challenge, but not too repetitive or too boring. So I have to give this course a B+ for the course. Where I have to fault the course is in the nature of the players more than anything else. And also we had some greenskeeper fouling through the first 4 holes. And there was some fouling from the construction crew also. There were some places where they're playing the radio, and there's some places where they're doing leaf blowing to clear the street. And that leaf blowing was going on right behind the green, like on the number 4 green. There were 3 guys out there blowing leaves right behind the green. So there was a significant amount of noise on the first 2 hours, well, maybe the first hour of play for us when we started at 2 o'clock. But after that, things settled down, and we really were able to proceed along. But I would say the only problem beyond that was the players themselves. Most of the divots that we saw on the course were there, not fixed. Tee boxes, heavily divoted. Very few of them fixed. Sand traps almost always had to go in and rake other people's footprints or ball marks or swing marks in the sand. But that wasn't a huge deal. I wouldn't say that there were really any problems with this course that were huge knockouts. But I will say you have to be careful on the 18th because the green for the 18th is right behind the clubhouse. And at least when we played, there was a drunk group of guys up there on the deck behind the clubhouse who we could hear all the way from the tee box, 350, 400 yards away on the 18th tee box. And, really, kind of had to show some stiff upper lip kind of thing to play that green while they're sitting there drinking and laughing and spitting and so forth, 50 feet away from us. And other than that, I think that was pretty much the only real problem we had. I think it was a good course. I would certainly rank it a B+. The only downfall I really saw with this course was the people that were there. Okay, either the greenskeepers or the other people playing the course who didn't do any maintenance on the course, or the people at the clubhouse who were obnoxious. I didn't see any real views, So I can't give it a solid high score for great views. You can see the Potomac from the third tee box, but it wasn't, a tight kind of course either. It certainly made me think, this is a nice ride around in the woods and playing golf. It wasn't a course where there were 7 or 8 different holes laid right next to each other. So you didn't get that kind of feeling like you were playing in somebody's South 40, for example. We didn't have a lot of wind today, so it wasn't like, we had to really contend with that. And most of the course is in woods to some degree or another, so it wasn't like you have these big, wide open, big sky shots and a lot of wind blowing around and blowing your ball off into the waist or something like that. It wasn't like that at all. We weren't being blinded by the sun or baked by the sun. It wasn't, anything unusual for people who play woods courses on a regular basis. But it still was a good, solid, upscale woods course, and certainly an upscale clubhouse, nice dining facilities, nice interior, nice sort of restaurant bar area, and a very nice deck on the back that wrapped around the clubhouse. It was just possibly not the kind of thing that they should have right next to the 18th green. Certainly if you're going to have loud people drinking and making a lot of noise while they're sitting on the deck and not respecting people playing the 18th hole. Other than that, pretty much, a good deal. I think I paid $60 to play this course at 2 o'clock after, right after a tournament, a short tournament, 16-player tournament. And I think overall it was a reasonably good deal, not too expensive, certainly not as expensive as a course like Oak Creek, and I think comparable in terms of the quality of the golf. It certainly wasn't a big open course like Whiskey Creek is in many holes, but it wasn't as tight or as easy to lose your ball as Oak Creek is in many holes either. It was somewhere in the middle between those. I would say it was a very decent course. I give it a solid B+. And I hope that the course continues to be as good as it is and has less greenskeeper fouling and that people are less obnoxious who play it. That is Potomac Shores in Dumfries, Virginia.